Alright, I'm just gonna dive straight into this. Go through this playlist here. It's all my Rock Band section videos pretty much since I got customs. Obviously has some views already. Probably because of I put it at the end of I think one of the later compilations, but that doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm just gonna go say comments I think of as we go along. This was the very first one. And I can't hear anything. This is the very first compilation. And this was like this just after I'd got customs. Preston helped me get them actually. So when was this? This was 2015. I remember at the time I couldn't really hit anything on Rock Band 3 for the 360. Like I was better at PS3 for some reason. I don't really know why that was, but pretty much as soon as I got customs I started getting fairly good at the game. But anyway, this first clip I remember, it's the second keyboard solo in first keyboard solo in Inca Roads. I remember finding this like really hard. I mean, looking back on it now, it doesn't look particularly bad. That section, one keyboard solo 1B, took me ages to figure out. But yeah, it's and because I thought it was the hardest, I put it at the beginning. I don't think it probably looks like the hardest section though. Oh yeah, boom. Said that all the time. Itsy Jam. This is fairly tricky. I think Orange Wars aren't that easy on Rock Band. But it's nothing compared to the solo 2C, which is another compilation. This one I think is pretty good actually for the time. A lot of random strumming in here. I think I was gonna go for the full song, but I never ended up doing it. I would probably say this is actually the best one in this compilation. Unless I'm forgetting something. I don't think I am. Giant. This might be the worst one in the compilation. Couldn't even do the full solo. Like, sheesh. There's nothing hard in that. I have no idea why I put that in there. I think I remembered. Just thinking, I want another clip, let's just throw this in there. This one's actually pretty good. Mainly because of this sweepy bit here. Of course, standard tap the second one. I mean, nothing hard in the rest of it. Duct tape smile, just ladders really. Section 2 seconds long, so it's not that hard. Ah, the guitar solo, Dr. Fluffles. Of course, this full song was FC'd. So, although it's quite tricky, I mean, at the time I probably couldn't have done much more. I remember there being some awkward fretting at the end that was hard to do without ghosting for me. Back in 2015 anyway. I think I would have tried to do the full song as well, but I never got it. Oh no, yeah, it was the second keyboard solo. It was the first one. I mean, they're all one keyboard solo really though. I always found this one interesting because there's one note in particular. This strum note right after the hammer-on. It's one of the only strum notes after a hammer-on that just hits without a double strum. So even back then I was doing it with without the double. I have no idea why that is. For some reason there's just random ones like that that would just work as intended. It's really weird. And yeah, the rest of it isn't actually too bad. This part at the end is more awkward than you would think. But yeah, it's definitely easier than the second one. Oh, and that was the last one. For some reason I thought there was more. Alright, yeah. Oh, this is back when I was using flip share. My gosh. Ah yeah, reasons to live. That's not bad. That was like the day after or something. Yeah, I said at the end, 4th try or something. Yeah, it was just quite I mean, I've definitely hit harder trills than that, but it's quite fast. This is one. This is probably the first real good, like, pretty impressive one. That, of course, I did the full Get Out of My Yard song. Oh, for goodness sake. Did that full song. But even the intro is the highest NPS. I guess it's the hardest part of the song. And obviously it begs the question, why didn't you just do that in a real run? Well, because I wouldn't have been able to do the full song at that time because I hadn't learned it. And there is some pretty stupid stuff afterwards. And there's 2 8 or mangoes of YouTube sections. The only hard part of this is the little double tap bit, which is quite in high MPS, so it's hard to do that. And that at the end, that's probably not much harder than it is on GH3, as it would have been at the time. But it is noticeably more difficult though. This is this one. This section is ridiculously awkward, even now. Like, it's way harder than it looks. Looking for Violence Solo 2. I didn't even do the full solo, which I guess is understandable. Solo 2E is pretty bad. It's okay. I would never put anything like that in compilation nowadays. Nor would I put anything like this, although this is pretty stupidly. Wow, I just realised I did these like day after day. I must have been addicted to the customs. But yeah, that's very tight. And this is the one I was alluding to before. Man, it's horrible to learn that strumming at the end. I'm surprised, that was only like 2 days after the first montage. I thought I did that well after, but apparently not. Was this the 8th of November? 9th of November. Ooh, took a day off. This is a pretty good section, FC. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know what else to say, really. This one, it's high MPS, but nothing complicated. Like those chord zigs I can hit pretty much fine now. I'm just gonna skip through this one, Cassandra Gemini sax solo. I did the full song afterwards. I think it must have been 2017. I mean, it's so long. This is not really something you should put in a mini Taj video. It's the reason this solo is so difficult because it comes like 28 minutes in. Otherwise, it's not really that impressive on its own. And this one, yeah, I forgot. I always forget I put this in a compilation. It's so like it might be the worst, or at least one of the worst sections I've ever put in a mini Taj. I don't know what was going through my head. I thought, ooh, there's a fast sweep somewhere. Yeah, oh, that makes it worth putting in a mini Taj, clearly. Let me tell you, it doesn't. That is not a hard section. Incrod solo well. Yeah, this was a really good one. There was a time where I hit this section 3 times in a row. And I also did it with the preceding section, solo K. And I love that because it's 2 separate clips, but the claps happen at the same time. The method is standard tapping, really. I don't even know why I bothered. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't change anything nowadays. But yeah, it's a really awkward section to do on Rock Band. At the time, I said it was my best section FC. I could see that being right. Oh, this was stupid hard. Like I would struggle to replicate this nowadays. If you don't know, this is the intro to Hourglass Paroxysm Solo 3, but it's not just once, it's twice in a row. So normally that would just be it, but then you have 2 cycles of it. That's really good section FC. I mean, it is very short though, so. That was pretty damn good in 2015. I don't remember myself being that good. You all know Nyland by now. I did this before I ever even did Solo 1. Right, 7-minute, that easy. Even the riff is missable. And then Solo 9, which is pretty stupid. And then the strumming isn't too bad, because it does all change on downs. And then that's that. There isn't really anything to say for that, because everyone knows Nyland. I'd fully alt-tap the triplets, that's all I have to say really. Angel of Death, this is the C3 chart. It's... at the time I was going for the full song, so it's not actually that amazing of a solo FC. Especially not compared to the Angel of Death, yeah, especially not compared to Angel of Death. I mean the stupid chart. The Winner's Geek chart. That was the hardest part, I remember that. That's why I strummed some hammer-ons. In this, I can't think of a single other section I had strummed like hammer-ons like that for. It's really strange. I guess it was because I probably ghosted those notes. This to me always looked really, really easy. This was back when going through C3 was the craze. Like, they don't get that fast. The only difficult part of these triplets is the transition out. I'd be tempted to say these doublets are harder than the triplets themselves. Yeah, underwhelming for me. I remember this being pretty cool. I thought it looked pretty hard at the time. The part that looks the coolest is this little bit here. But I think this part I found the hardest for some reason, even though it's just standard tapping. It's decent. I think it looks a lot easier than it did back then though. And then this is just the solo mechanics. Of course I did get the full song, even on video, so it wasn't that hard as far as a single video goes. The only real hard part of this solo is the bit at the very beginning. Well, I know I didn't get the full song first try. Strangely time failure. This is just Lie Solo 1. I played Lie so many times, going for it the second time. It was just like entirely muscle memory, really. Why has this got 2 dislikes? Oh yeah, these double hammer-ons. They don't work the same way as, for instance, a hammer-on followed by a strum. They don't work in the same way. So, I'm not sure what the right approach that was there. I think at the time I used like one of the hammer-ons and strummed the second one. Or for the really quick double red, double yellow, yeah, I strummed both of them. Yeah, and I used that, you see? That's how I would do it. Hold on, I need to switch it. Damn sun getting in the way. I'll do. There we go. No more sun in the way. Oh, I am very dark now though. Wow, that looks really weird. This is like found footage looking sort of thing. Oh my gosh. Default. I'm just gonna make this easier and turn the light on. Ugh. Good enough. Whatever. Alright, yeah, so that was Lie Solo 1. I'm pretty sure this one is Lie Solo 2. At least the majority of it. This part being the hardest part. I really don't know what to say about Lie. It was probably my best FC when I got it, which I think was in May 2016. But it's a very good FC. Oh, and let's not. I don't even want to talk about this. Two B's not particularly hard. I guess I didn't want to do 2A as well. And then that's where the money is. The bane of my existence for a couple of months. I have nothing else to say. Ooh. On and on 3B. I haven't been able to do this since. I don't think I really tried though. That's a stupid section. I can't be bothered here on my reaction. Yeah, on and on 3B is really stupid. It's a lot easier than 2A though. I still can't do 2A. I don't know why. I've tried it many a time, but I've just never been able to do it. And this is I've got a feeling one-handed. That section's bad, even with 2 hands, so... Just a terrible shot, really. Fury the solo on Rock Band 3. Well, this is April 2016, I must have took a bit of a break from making so many Rock Band videos. It amazes me how long ago these were. Of course, the two main sections are G and I. I think actually though, I got it on this solo on my first time up to the Trillin I. Much like my actual FC of the song on Warriors of Rock. I say sheesh there because I completely bodged the elbow strumming. That clap hurt as well. I remember that clap hurting for like a good 10 minutes afterwards. Home keys! Oh, talking about nightmare grinds. This wasn't the hardest section at all. In fact, it would be embarrassing if I missed this section when I was going for it. Just completely systematic standard tapping. I remember Maze not believing that I'd hit the section. I mean, it's not that bad. This is back in the Skype days, yeah. This section is way harder than that, for instance. Because Nick did the full song. I don't think I would have had the mental capacity to go for the full song. Not that it's long, but just this one part in it. And you'll probably be able to tell, but I'll point it out anyway. This stuff is just, you know, mildly tricky, really. Nothing mini-Taj worthy. Yep, that is... I haven't played it since, but I remember it being basically just luck. Yeah, like RNG. It might as well have been. Something about the NPS, I'm not sure. And there's the Endless Depths of Darkness. The full song of this is one of my best FCs, I think. Or it was. Probably still is. It doesn't get truly hard until the very end of it. Apparently I one-handed that bit. I wouldn't hand that nowadays. Yeah, I one-handed all of this, I think. Just because of the strums. Instead of doing transitions. So those doublets on their own... Doublets on their own are pretty bad. But when you have to do this fast fretting in between... This part is... Although it's quite a simple note order, it's very difficult. And then the rest of the solo's easy. Yeah, so... difficult one. Next one we have 24 hours ago. I still think the... well, I'll just let it play first. Yeah, I was enthusiastic about that because I was on a time limit as well. But yeah, the full song of that on Rock Band 3, I still don't understand how that was done. I mean... It was done before this video even. Yeah, the whole song with the strumming at the end. I mean, if it was just that, I could understand. But the strumming at the end as well. Like, what? That's a good FC even on Clone Hero or Guitar Hero 3. Stars, this was another nightmare grind. At least the second time I tried to go for it. I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing. Because there's only one real difficult part. This trill lane, yeah. You have to strum through that, I think, pretty much. But I would get past that and then I'd always miss something else, because there's quite a few difficult parts in this solo. Neil's shown solo, I remember being pretty awkwardly charted at least. That stuff there, yeah. It's difficult to do without ghosting. Move him almost in solo. They're just a bit quick. I think there was one more interesting bit. Because like the last 30 or 25% of the solo isn't very hard, I remember. Was it this bit? Yeah. That's the last real missable part of it, I think. Yeah. Just leave it at that. Stupidly long solo, pretty long song. Fetch the Mouse, the last keyboard solo. Now, these sections are pretty good. At the time, I found what was called 4A to be the hardest part. I would definitely disagree with that now. But recently, I had the most amazing run of this. I actually FC'd up to 4B, what it's called here, in this solo, which I think would be very hard for me to do again. This next section is really fast, so this is a good section FC. Yeah, at the time I thought this was the hardest section, but it really isn't anymore. It's pretty ugly though. What was this section's stupid. It is basically luck, this one actually, because the very end of it, the random strums. That's where I FC'd up to, those strums. Yeah, random strums in this one as well. And then 4D isn't too bad. Still a bit awkward though. Ridiculous mini-taj. I'd say it's pretty ridiculous, at least at the time. Chiasm solo 1B. This is a hard section for me even now. Probably because I don't have a good method for this and I have to standard type it all. But everyone's seen Chiasm. Quick and daft, like a Rock Band mini-taj. I'm not sure how this engine compares to like Rock Band 2. But I think I just finished off the full game FC, so I decided to have a mess about. So yeah, this was just a strum limit bit section. Guns of Summer. we had in the Bedouin. I always find it interesting that the Guns N' Roses songs are on like a Rock Band. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, surely. If they're getting rid of songs like that would need parental guidance, I mean, need explicit songs, right? And yes, scraped, more strum limit stuff. I'm not sure if it's any more difficult than it would be on Rock Band 2. I never tried, and I don't really want to try either. Thief Part 1 solo. This song was my 79 out of 80 out of 80 out of 100 on the top 100. Obviously a lot. A while after I did this. I think I found solo B harder than solo C, because I had a pretty decent method for Z. And that blue strum got me at least once, that's why I strum both Emerald and the strum. Ending's a bit missable. Just stand to tap it all though. That's what I did with everything. Surprise drill. This is just the heavy riff. I don't know why I did anything after it. One of the hardest transitions there is, really. Yeah, and the rest of it is just Flawless Philanthropy stuff. I think Flawless Philanthropy was 76 out of 100. Luckily that's like not far into the song. Keotro Minitage. It can't have been long after this that AFC'd Thief Part 2 and 4. This transition is pretty bad as well. And then the rest of it I just standard tap pretty much. Except for the very last pattern, which I play as basically as chimneys, but tapping blue and orange. Synesthesia trill. That didn't take particularly long. That's a pretty difficult trill, to be honest. I was lucky to get the song as quickly as I did. And yeah, there's not even the trill, the bit after it's probably... it's almost as bad, really. Philanthropy solo, probably to the end. The solo is honestly not that bad. Standard tap this bit, because what the hell else would I do? The hardest part of this solo is the other chords. I missed them a lot of times in the grind for this FC. Them. Don't know what it was about them. We would just miss. Another trill, isn't there? And then a sweepy bit, which is dead easy. Singularity, the only one of these songs I haven't FC'd, because it's the hardest by far. The NPS on that is very fast. And then Darko on Solo 5, everyone's seen that a million times, don't need to show that. Angel of Death Hypers chart stuff, this is the one I was on about before. A full solo FC, this would be ridiculous. First two sections aren't too bad. That's not too bad either. Solo C is the hardest one. At this point I only did it at 90% speed. Because there's a The very first double blue there. I'm pretty sure I strummed the orange before it as well. But that's, well, apparently not in this run. But this transition is just a wall of notes, really. That solo D pretty bad as well. To be honest, the only one that's really hard is solo C, and I only did it at 90, so I don't think this video is that good. Frenzy Solo Tech FC. I was going for the whole song when I started my third year of uni. But man, there's just so much difficult stuff. Random strums and everything. Stuff that's difficult to ghost. To not ghost, should I say. That part's a bit awkward. It's not particularly hard though. The next one, solo H, is the hardest one, individual section. Because of those trips, really. Well, actually not just because of those, because of this bit, with the strum in it as well. Brutal. That's a good section FC on its own. Presumably this is just the rest of the song. Which isn't too bad. I think the very last bit's missable though. Yeah. The only real standout section is solo H, but it's missable elsewhere. Satriani Minitage. Definitely one of the weakest ones, because it could have been made smaller. A lot of the sections weren't particularly hard. I mean, there's some decent things in here. But I think it was a bit under par with what I was doing beforehand. Wow, there was literally nothing hard in that one. What was the point of that? Likewise, pretty easy. Yeah, it's sort of like mildly missable stuff, the montage. At least the charts themselves are quite weird and interesting. Some of them are anyway. Did I strum that last red? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna say that'd been weird. Alright, an actually fairly interesting section. The NPS on some of these grace notes is really strangely fast. Otherwise it's just awkwardly charting. Yeah, there's a double hammer on there. Or a same note hammer on, should I say. Oh, and then I say, it's not that bad, I guess. of all the ones. And this isn't particularly bad either. The only difficult part of it is the green strums at the beginning. I think there's more weird grace notes here though. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. I know there's nothing hard in the rest of that, so I'm just gonna skip it. Memories. I don't remember this one being very hard either. Yeah, that's pretty alright is what I said, not that's pretty hard. Yeah, you're damn right, it's pretty alright. It's another one in the episode of mildly missable things. Yeah, selected one more. One too many sections. The enigmatic. This is actually a good section, I think. For once. Probably the best one in here. Yeah, a lot of ladder-like patterns. Which aren't easy to do without ghosting when you're one-handing it. Yeah, that's a pretty awkward part there. Oh, I still have the hammer on. I thought I wasn't going to. Driving at night's pretty easy. Let me look at it anyway, just in case I'm misremembering. It has the weird wrapping that a lot of Satriani customs do have. You can see that on Ice 9 and Lords of Karma and just a lot of them. Like that, it's not... It doesn't make any sense. Yep, not particularly bad. How's the Locusts? Decent. I'm not sure if I have seen this full song. I feel like I did, but I don't have a video of it, so I'm not sure. More weird wrapping. It's decent. It's not overly hard though. Elbow strumming some strums though. And then the part of One Big Rush that isn't hard. Weird enough to be in here. More like padding out the video. Yeah, not the best one. Amberian Dawntage on the other hand, this is a pretty good one. City of Corruption. Yeah, the video settings were very weird at the time. This is when I'd just gone to uni. City encryption the keys I didn't FC, but I maintained that it's the easiest of the difficult Ambient Dawn key songs. Field of Serpents. I don't remember this taking particularly long to FC. The full song, I mean. And probably not the solo either. The chimneys, obviously. Did I standard tap then? No, I didn't. I was gonna say. Yeah, Field of Serpents isn't too bad if you can figure out the chimneys. The rest of it's just fast fretting. Talisman. Oh, there's nothing interesting here. I'm not even gonna play it. Talisman is just like not particularly hard compared to the rest anyway. Coming out followed. Was this? I think this was my first Ambient Dawn FC. The hardest part is just starting it off. The rest of it's just, yeah, it just exists really, I guess. I always found this one to be a really overrated FC. I mean, it's decent, but it's really not that hard if you can figure out how to start it. Because, yeah, it has the double solo. Arctica, I had a bad time with this one, I remember. This is one of the last Ambient Dawn FCs I actually got. Just charted pretty awkwardly, that's all. The two main fast bits. And then this bit's actually, although it's like the longest fast bit, it's the easiest one. War in Heaven keys. One of my best first try FCs. The full song, I mean, anyway. Because it's awkward. It's just really awkward and fast. This is where it gets bad. Nick always goes on about that section, that little bit there. This part for being like the worst rapping of all time. I mean, looking at that, that's a pattern you don't really see anywhere. So, fair enough. Especially with the strum at the beginning. And then there are other missable parts, I guess. Nothing is anywhere near as bad as the start of Keyboard Solo 3 though. Then luckily the rest of the song is like completely unmissable. Fate of the Maiden. The fastest strumming in an Ambient Dawn song that I can think of. That trill is more pretty annoying actually. Then after that it's just, can you fret or standard tap? The answer in this case was yes. One of the shortest Ambient Dawn songs though. What's next? The Curse. Not very hard. Well, actually, the strumming in it's a bit tricky. Which is often what it boils down to for me. See, I used the hammer-ons there. I probably did in the whole song as well. Quite a fast double strum. One of the easier, like, Ambient Dawn songs that have a solo though. And Dream Chaser Solo 3. I didn't think so, but this one actually ended up being one of the hardest Ambient Dawn FCs. I didn't think it would be, should I say. More using the hammer-ons. Obviously a lot easier than Keys. He sleeps in a grove. It's just the triplets, everyone knows that. The transition into it isn't that easy, because it starts off with a blue, but once you figure that out, it's not terrible. This is Incubus. This isn't too bad. There's nothing, like, particularly stand out here, it's just a lot of fretting. Or in my case, standard tapping. And you have a double blue, followed by a green strum. That's weird. Incubus, not terrible FC. Coco, Eagle of Fire. Now this one is way harder than, more difficult than meets the eye, because of the triplet strumming here. And it's a bit quite miserable afterwards as well, because the sweeps are really high NPS. At least certain bits of it are. Not a particularly long song though. Willow of Tears, not that hard really. Just interesting because the rest of the song is like, there's like no notes. That's it really. Well, Shallow Waters is in this compilation. I didn't think it was for some reason. This was my last Ambient Dawn FC. I don't know if I would say it was the hardest, but it was my last. Just awkward stuff. The first solo's awkward because you have strumming in between like mini trills that are difficult for me to one hand. Then you have these mini trills. Overall though, it's just a lot of fretting really. I'd have struggled to call it the hardest one. Morning Star, it's definitely not that hard, in contrast to how it's charted in the discography solo medley. I feel like no one ever talks about this one though. It is missable at least. This is actually one of my last Ambient Dawn SCs. Probably because it was a bit longer though. Ah, the hardest of them all, Lionheart. I had a decent method at the time. Oh man, what a mess that section is. It was one I always wanted to do, which is, I think is what I say in the video. You have no idea how long I wanted to do that. I mean, I have no idea how long I wanted to do that, to be honest. So yeah, there's no way you would. Misktard, I like this one. It's not necessarily the hardest sections, although the sections are tricky. It's more of a showcase than anything else, of like unusual sections. unfortunately Florentine Potion just has the typical Zappa charting with the random strums. And this is a Chicago song. Was it Follow Me? Something like that. Apparently used all the hammer-ons. That's surprising. Not those ones, I can understand that. Yeah, basically just really hyper-accurate charting. Which makes for an interesting chart, so I guess fair play. Then ends with that stupid symbol, which I have no idea why that happens in so many C3 songs. Skull beneath the skin right at the beginning. I probably should have just tried to see the full song, to be honest. Tricky, but not terrible. Sudden Death. This isn't the Warriors of Rock chart. I remember a sight read FC this and was like, ooh, that was good. Hopefully I'll be able to do it again. And I'm pretty sure I never actually missed on this solo. I dare say it's a more competent chart than the Warriors of Rock version. And the reason I didn't go for this full song is because the intro solo is way more difficult. There's like some ridiculous, like un-one-handable or standard tappable thing. I can't remember exactly what it is. Did I use all the hammer-ons? I think I know why I was using the hammer-ons there. That was because I was pretending I was on Rise of Rock. I don't know why. It's decent, but nothing overly, like, you know, no standout parts. I played it to the end for some reason. Baptized by Fire solo. This one I had a bad time with when I was learning it. Because of these speed up zigs. Especially this one, which is way faster. Did I tap every zig there? That wasn't my method by the time I've seen the song. But yeah, I found the key to hitting these speed up chords is to not really speed up. I don't know what I'm saying now, it doesn't really matter. This is the ending of Get Out of My Yard. Which is why it's not just the intro. And some basic sweeps at the end, still missable though. The unnerved Headlong Flight solo. I was going for this full song for a while. I never did get it, but at this point I don't really care about it. Yeah, it's just disgraceful really, honestly. Yep, stuff that's really awkward to hit on Rock Band 3. It's only a really short section, but man, it's just difficult to read. This one I thought at the time was probably the best one in the compilation. Shame there's a glare. Probably because of that bit that's really high NPS, and then this part looks really stupid as well. Yes, it's a good section FC. Of course it shouldn't be one section, but it is. And that part is super missable. Yeah, probably was the best in that. I would agree. Somewhere back in time. Obviously, solo 3B is the main reason. Just like on and on junior, pretty much. A rare case of trill lanes that sort of work how they're supposed to. Yeah, most of you probably heard of Somewhere Back in Time. Face Omelette Solo B. Now this one was a mind blower, apparently. A really stupid section FC. Yeah, I have no further comments about that. Hit it twice. Bouncing dot. Hey, this is a year after the first compilation. Damn, I improved a lot in a year. Yeah, that was a case of just figuring out the method, to be honest. Mab. This was a filler video. I remember this. It's a decent section FC, but nothing overly special. What was it? Why did I post this? Oh, this was during home keys. Yeah, this is just a typical shreddy section. It's not the hardest section in the song. That's got to be the hardest part, I'm assuming. Yep, not really much to comment on there. Zombie Wolf. This is a really good one. It's a Zappa solo, so it's basically just the you know, the horrible forcing. Speaks for itself, really. Maybe one of the underrated section videos, I think. I don't remember what was the hardest bit. I think the hardest bit has already been. It's just hard to read. There's a combination of learning and being just really focusing on which notes were strummed and forced. So I don't think there's any way to learn everything without spending, you know, hours upon hours. You gotta be good at sight reading. That trill's a bit stupid as well. Boom, dude. I'm still saying boom at this point. Of course, the Echoes keyboard solo. Another really weird grind for me. Not the solo, but the full song. Well, because first of all, it wasn't a grind. Obviously, that zigzag. Yeah, it wasn't a grind, because the first run I FC'd past the zigzag and missed in that the sweepy bits afterwards. The second run, I don't think I even made it to the keyboard solo. And the third run I FC'd the song. It was weird, because I never missed the zigzag. Very short grind, shouldn't have been. This is a classic, 50-50 full solo. There isn't much to say. At the time, I might have considered it my best section FC, or, you know, like it's more than one section, but you know what I mean. Certainly never forget how to do this. That part there, the doublet bit in solo B is one of the hardest parts. And then, from here on outwards, that's just disgraceful, that bit. Works more than you would think though, just strumming through it like that. And then solo D is super missable. It's impressive even now, to be honest. Oh wow, hello. What is this angle? Fatal Tragedy, another song that I still haven't FC'd. I probably won't ever try to. I don't think I'm going to sit through the whole thing. Or I might, actually. Yeah, these chords are horrible. Really, really, really bad. I'm going to skip through all this. Yeah, if it was just the chords, I'd assume it would be done by now, but this solo is stupid for one big reason. I'll point that out. I mean, it's fairly tricky outside of it as well. There we go. This trill in and the transition out of it. I don't even know how to describe it. You have to strum the red, the last red, and the yellow pretty much. But it doesn't work as consistently as you'd think. It's horrible, man. You can't really describe it. It's not the worst thing in the world. But man, does it make the song a lot harder. Then you have all this stuff, which isn't too bad. And then just the rest of the song, which isn't that interesting. So I'll skip that. Nice 9! This was done quite a few times after I did it, I think. For some reason. I did it a couple of times. I was going to try and do the full song, but it's just too luck-based. There really isn't anything else interesting. I just wanted to see if I could do it to the end. Haunted Solo 2A now. This is a very, very good section FC. I did it twice, because the first time I did it I was trying to do the full solo, but that was just way too much for me to handle. Ugh, I hate this video, because it just reminds me of how horrible it was to record with the flip share camera. Like, I couldn't try and do solo 1 to the end. I think I put it in the description, basically. Everyone knows that I still have amplification solo. I hate that I have to upload something that's on, but my camera's charge lasts such little time now that I really don't have enough time to get the second half fully. Yeah, so basically, I couldn't grind it because I couldn't record it the whole time. Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Don't really have anything to say about this one either. Burn Tech FC, or the bonus material I can comment on. I have absolutely no idea why this first section's out of sync. I could not tell you. It's always baffled me. But this is a good section FC. Chimney's never that easy on this engine. This is a Paroxysm Part 2 on bass. Horrible transition there. And then the next part is just a mess. I think the method for that is easier than it looks though.
This time, please.
And then there. That's... Besides the choruses, that's all there is in this song, really, I think.
3 times I choked on that thing.
3 times I choked on that thing, eh? Not much of a choke. And Burn Tech FC, everyone knows Burn. It's a difficult song. I think at this point, if I was going to do anything with Burn, it would be the full song, but I've never really tried that hard. Angry and Pride full solo FC. This is another really good section FC that didn't take me very long. Yeah, that is brutally hard. I think I just got lucky. Solo B is not particularly difficult.
I'll take it.
And the rest of it, there isn't anything. Some Dream Theater tune, this is the best of times. It wouldn't be hard if it wasn't charted like this. And you'll see what I mean when we get further in. Well, you can already see what I mean. What is that forcing? I really don't understand why the hooks are charted like that. Then a grace note that's 2 strums. Like, what? And there's some stuff that's forgivable. And then really where the money is. And there's nothing else in the rest of it. That sort of stuff is... It's difficult to get the timing right. More than anything else. The double strums are fine. There's nothing in the rest of the song, pretty much. Oh, we got full solo 4. Nice angle. It's one of those things you never imagine you're going to be able to do at some point. Looking at it now, it's like, well, yeah, of course I could do this. What is it? It's basically just 2 trills and a fast fretting part after. I think this section is underrated. Solo D. Decent. I mean, it's nothing unique though. That's the thing. Rose on Light Lace solo. Just another sort of difficult and awkwardly charted solo. Solo A probably the hardest part, if I remember it. It's also pretty awkward. Every section in this solo is stupid, actually. Yeah, that stuff's fast. Just standard tapping, though. I think that was pretty much the last thing I did with that Explorer. Did get all solos FC? I don't remember this particularly. I think I was going for the song, and I'm sure I could have got it if I'd kept trying, but I had other things to do, I guess. These strumming bits, yep. By far the hardest part of that solo. I love it when strumming's in 3s on Rock Band. Alright, terrible. Some fast tapping. That's not very hard though. Oh, that's awkward. That orange note at the end, that would be probably the hardest note in the song thus far. Only hard part of that solo. I remember this solo. I remember how it sounds. I'm pretty sure it has those fast descending triplets like Burn does. There they are. Apparently that's the only difficult part of the solo. And then this is the last solo, I think. Gotta love the strumming in threes. Oh, and more of it. Pretty jokeable last solo. But yeah, rightly so. Not the most interesting compilation. Nothing's overly hard. Two of my best section FCs. I think I said two of my best just for views, to be honest. Because this first section isn't that amazing. It's very fast, but I mean it's trivial how you hit it really. I will say it's a lot harder than it looks. And then there's nothing else after that. This is the real reason it's called two of my best section FCs, because this one is very ridiculously hard. Looking at it now, it doesn't look that bad, but I know it's harder than it looks as well. How can I describe it? There's a lot of strumming in threes, which are like there you go, strumming in three. That's downs. A double hammer on there, which is it's difficult to know what to do with them. Not easy to not ghost there. And then you have to transition into this weird, awkward bit. Like if I pause at a certain point, you can see like that's not that easy to do without ghosting. You would miss that if you just watched it normally, but yeah, that's a good section of C. Even like right now. Here we go. Something I couldn't do again because I've forgotten how I did it. This is the first FC of this section at any speed. I think I'd be proud of that, I guess. Yeah. Let's break it down. So you've got this already awkward bit. You can see you've got a triplet there, but then you've got a blue, green, yellow, red, like into some red strums. Like, how are you gonna hit that? You can't really hit that one-handed. Then immediately after that, you've got a zig into a double blue, which isn't terrible, but at that speed, you've got to process everything very, very quickly. And then this really fast sweep, which is harder than it looks. And then even after that, that's not it. You've got this amalgamation of notes, which is just standard tapped. And I was always worried in case, did I overstrum that last note? But no, I know I didn't, because I had the 4 times. There you go. It says 100 there. And yeah, I'm not bothering with the reaction. You can forget about that. Entropy, extropy, trills. Apparently more than the trills. Everyone knows EE trills, but I think people probably fail to grasp just how annoyingly hard they are to hit. Like, trills on Rock Band, that's one of the worst patterns you can get, really. I don't really have anything else to say. Everything that you can say about EE trills has been said. And this is maybe the hardest section of Hourglass. Lovely quality, by the way. Right, so if I remember correctly, what I do is I tap the yellow orange and then one hand the blue reds, and when it gets these triplets I do something really weird but I think creative. I still tap the yellow oranges but use my pinky to hit the blues of the trips. And that I guess would be what, 3 times, but the third time you hit the blue you come back down the blue red, and then I'm pretty sure I standard tap the zigs because I couldn't alt tap them because it's Rock Band. Stupid section, really difficult section. This one I always find is looks pretty horrible. I have no idea how I hit it. I don't remember my method at all, but like, sheesh, dude. Like, what is that? And this is 80% speed. Mental. Seriously, FC Dystopia. This is just Dystopia full solo. I remember this took ages upon ages to do. Because basically all you're doing is delaying the time it takes for you to try solo D. Yeah, I mean, it's Dystopia triplets. I don't fully alt tap them. I anchor green and do, you know, if I just get them up. So for these, for instance, I would tap yellow, blue, orange, blue, and then one hand the zigzag. That's how I hit these triplets, because just fully alt tapping isn't really viable. Chasing the Light full solo. I've done the full song now. There isn't... actually, I could say something about the guitar solo and how annoying it is, actually. Because these strums, they don't ever seem to work how you want them to. But then obviously you have the key solo, which I'm not going to explain the method, but just know that it's hard to start, and that red note, if you couldn't guess already, is by far the hardest note to hit. If that red note wasn't there, the song would be a lot easier. Constant motion solo D. I've never understood how people can be so good at this section. Oh my gosh, the quality is amazing. Just because of the sweeps, to be honest. I could never get consistent with the sweeps, it would just miss whenever. That's one section I've never been able to truly figure out. It took me ages to do as well. Now there's a note in this one that's really awkward as well. That yellow there, this yellow, it's sort of, I never really knew what to do with it. I ended up one-handing it, but it's not... It's just like the worst note in the whole thing. The method for that is quite self-explanatory if you slow it down, but it's really hard to execute. Return of the Son of Monster montage. This was a really good video. Start off with activation synthesis theory. Doesn't look that hard now, but it's basically a section that's hard to do without ghosting. Baby's on Fire. This is a song I was going for the FC the full song. Ridiculously fast strumming there. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm not even strumming that. It sounds like it's paper modded. That's the real hard part of this song. Nothing else is that bad. I mean, these doublets are difficult, but nowhere near as hard as that. And yeah, you have that blue streak, which is as fast, but nowhere near as difficult. And it's sort of missable afterward, but nothing that interesting. Oh right, the chord zigs this fast are really basically luck based. That's all that is. I'm skipping the Devil Way and down to Georgia sections. They aren't that bad. It's probably the weakest part of the montage for me. I could have like done full victory solo if I wanted it to be good, but once again, another case of me just can't be bothered. The solo R though is quite interesting because of all the lanes. Who knows, like, you gotta think, what goes through people's heads when they think, oh, let's put a lane there? Like, what? I think I could understand for the very first green streak, but when it's like a streak of 3, what's the point? It's silly. Nyland Solo 1, you see, almost 2 years after I did Solo 5 to the end, I finally do Solo 1. A few things to say about this one. Nothing bad thus far. This part is, as far as random strumming goes, it's harder than you'd think. These triplets are fine, pretty much. And then after this you get the Jordan tapping-esque bit. Which isn't that bad actually. It's pretty bad, but I mean it's not as bad as you would think. If you can figure out... I mean I standard tap the whole thing, pretty much. So it's self-explanatory for me. These double strums can be picky. These ones as well. And then these triplets, I have never been able to figure out how to do them consistently. I think I was lucky in the fact that this was my first time up to the triplets playing this solo, and I have seen it, but it does seem like pure luck. It must just be a really high NPS. This one's a really good section FC. Same it's in, like, it's not in focus, but yeah, a lot of alt tapping in that. It basically boils down to doing triplets, but following a trill. Yeah, good section FC. Very fast NPS. And this is the stuff that's after Face Omelette Solo B, so... This, because back then people were asking me to do Face Omelette, trying to see the full song, and I always said no. I think if it was just Solo B I would probably at least try it a bit more, but I mean you have this stuff after which is super missable as well. Like you saw, Solo C has really high NPS sweep stuff that's not easy to avoid ghosting on. And you just know that trill lane would kill me as well. And then you have a strum lane. Where the last note is outside the strum lane, of course. Fletch of the Mouse, I think. One of the more simple sections in here. Still awkward though. And then this is revisiting something I had a different video of before, where I almost hit it. To be honest, it doesn't seem that bad anymore. The only real part that looks cool is this little bit here. But once you know how to do it, it's pretty automatic. It's decent. Well, it's decent. It's just not as good as it used to be. Ooh, more hourglass paroxysm. Solo 2G is one of the hardest sections in this song. That stuff was basically standard tapped. It's not... I could never figure out a good method. And then solo 2H wasn't that bad, actually. 2I, I never got on video.
Wow.
Second try, yeah. That section's really fast. It's not terrible though, actually. And then this is the only time I've ever hit this section, actually. I don't really know if I've ever tried since. Yeah, a good video, really good video, I think. And this one was just ripped straight off a Distiller video, which is why it's in really grainy quality. Only time I've ever hit the full solo, I think only the second time I've hit solo B. And this was a while ago. I have looked at it again, and every time I'm like, nah. It was basically standard tapped, as a lot of the things I do are. Yeah, it was literally just standard tapped. It's too fast to be consistent at. And here we are, the magnum opus, which was done in 2017. Bottom full solo. Obviously, once you pass that, it's basically just try not to miss. Well, actually, no, it's not. This thing here is way harder than people give it credit for. I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's a mental block or not, but man, it's really difficult. And I'm going to skip my reaction because I can't be bothered hearing it. And then, in this video I actually tacked on the outro solo as well. I think I was surprised by how little time it took, because I know it took like days to hit it the first time. '30th of June, jumping well ahead to 2018. This must have been when my guitar had broken. Oh wait, no it's not. I don't know what I was doing. Probably just not playing Rock Band. This is a really good section of C as well. A lot of doublet strumming, and probably the hardest part. This part. The doublets into a trill, into an elbow strum, into triplets. That's messed up. And then after this you have uneven strumming here. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then some fast strumming, but that's not overly hard.
Yeah.
Gotta love the 4-note chords. Feel that it's barely even worth watching. Well, we'll watch it anyway. This part of Flesh of the Mouse, which isn't that hard, it's just fast. And then the section of Angel of Death I did at 90 before. Yeah. Nothing crazy there. RB1 Revisited. Now this is a really cool video, I think. Blackened. I mean, it's even awkward on Rock Band 3 at this point for me. Not that I play it anymore, because I don't need to. black magic solos. Of course, with solos like this, you have to use every hammer on now. And without hyperspeed, which is a difficult thing for me. Solo 2. Probably a bit easier than Solo 1. Still awkward though, mainly because of the very ending bit. This part here, well actually no, not this part. This here. There's some strums in there that you wouldn't think were there. Namely, this red strum here. Same with the alien trills. This first one I used solo buttons for, because I was using the strat at this time. Way harder than you'd think. A lot harder than doing it on Rock Band 2. The bit after the trill as well is so difficult. Like it's inexplicably hard. And then that trill's actually not very hard, to be honest. Great Certain. A little bit harder than usual. Not because of that bit, but because of solo A and B, I think. And this triple orange at the end. It's difficult to know how many times to strum. Tornado solos, not very hard. But I think it still looks quite cool. You can just hear how vigorous the tapping of that is. It creates a shockwave. Sulfur. This is a lot harder on this engine. A lot of descending stuff. That's often very difficult on Rock Band. Yeah, not easy. Next is what, Soul Sucker. Another case of where probably doesn't look that bad, but man, it's just really difficult to do. Something about Rock Band 1, I don't know if it's psychological or not. Probably the lack of hyperspeed. I ain't superstitious. Chorus 2. This one just looks cool. It's not that much harder than doing it normally. The lack of hyperspeed more than anything else would make it harder. Or breakneck speed, oh I'm sorry. Yeah, good video, really good video, I like that one. The only PIP video in this thing actually. I think I'm covering it, yeah. Nightmare Night. Yeah, I would agree with the title, totally. This is one... I don't think anyone really thought this would get done, if they knew what it was at least. Because I don't know how many of these little zigzaggy things you have to hit in a row. But man, it's just... it's quite tight and you have to have the endurance. Especially with the elbow strumming. I don't think it would really be possible to do without elbow strumming. I had a blister on my elbow for so long after doing this, because it took ages to do. And like all the skin had ripped away, it was horrible. Like it was genuinely hurting to try, but I didn't want to give up. Pretty sure I missed the last one once.
Yes! Whoa!
Yeah, very happy about that. Nothing in the rest of the song. And we get to the big three, the three most recent ones. RB3 Revival. I was not that happy. At the time I thought it was pretty good, but looking back on it I think it's more underwhelming to me now. Like, yeah, Black and Solo from Rob Solo medley. Not that much harder than the normal Black and Solo, if any. This is just chords. It's barely harder on Rock Band. Someone says Solus. This was basically just tapping, or literally just doing basic patterns that you wouldn't ghost anyway. Just on a tighter engine. I guess it's quite cool to watch, but if you know it, you know it's not that hard. Sweep solo is quite difficult actually though. This is like the easiest of all of them. Might as well do Whitley C. Yeah, basically a lot of it's just triplet stuff. Enlightened solo though, that's quite a cool one. Yeah, you gotta be perfect. I guess you can just wait until you get lucky, but man, that's one of the best ones of this. Death solo zigzag, also really difficult. Which somehow I hit twice in a row. I don't know. It took me 10 minutes to hit it once, and I choked after it, and then I hit it the next run. The ending of this song. Once you get the method for it, it's basically just be as accurate as you can. Works quite well actually. This is the worst one in all of them. I probably shouldn't have put this one in. I think at the time I just didn't really have any ideas, so I just tacked this on. Yeah, the worst in this compilation probably. To Burn the Eye solo, now this one's quite good actually. The strumming in it is harder than you'd think as well. After you've gone now, you wouldn't expect this one to be much harder in Rock Band, but it is actually quite a bit harder. For some reason. Like, chords like this in general will just get harder on Rock Band for some reason. Like, there's one part in the slight amplification where it's a chord followed by just 3 regular notes, and for some reason it just drops like wildfire. I don't know how to describe it. There's just something about it. Then we have this bit of My Black Cat mode, which is it's alright, yeah. It's actually quite. It took quite well to do, I remember. Stuff that's sort of difficult to do without ghosting, but I just standard tapped it all. That one little bit there is really fast. And then the Grand Eddy Chupacabra, which is a very good section FC. There isn't much to say on that. It didn't actually take very long. Basically do the same method as you do on Gran Turismo 3. What the hell is going through my head? As you would do on GH3 or Clone Hero. But strumming the orange hammer-ons, because if we go through that again, you see, if you don't strum those orange hammer-ons, it's going to be way too awkward to lift up the blue and put it back on. So you might as well just strum through it. Yeah, not a bad montage by any means. I just think it's got more credit than it was due. This is the best by far, I think. Starting off with Fallout. It's just Fallout. You hear it as you hear it on Clone Hero. This is an exceptionally good section FC. I mean, of all the sections in here that should get talked about, this should be up there. So many random strumming bits that you need to memorise. And the fretting's all over the place, not ghosting. Like that part right there, it's in like sevens. I really can't believe I did this one, to be honest. It's messed up. It's better than this one, for instance, I think. Because this one isn't too dissimilar than what you would do on a Guitar Hero. It's obviously harder, but not so much harder that it makes it like a ridiculous difference. But yeah, I mean it's a good section of C, not even on CH, so it's pretty mental. I like this part because it's just a bunch of quick sections in a row. This part from Lurker at the Threshold. Bughead stuff like this is really not easy to do on Rock Band. And then I needed to create a ghost-free method for this section, which is harder than it sounds. Harder than it looks, should I say. You have troubles with C's from a Crystal Weed Hero. One of the worst, if not the worst, in this compilation, I think. It's decent. But, like... more of a filler section than anything else. This is a really good section of C. You hardly have time to prepare for it. Like, let me just go through it really slow. Right off the bat, you have really fast strumming into this thing where you have to, it's a 2, 2, 2, 3 zigzag into the top there. More really fast strumming. Then that awkward bit there. You can hear me say "whoa" there, because I think I got it really quick, and I was like, really that fast? This is one I wouldn't have expected to get at all. What's the name of this? Cynical Tesla Fury. Malice Against is pretty fast. This is one of the more fillerish sections though. That sweeps really fast, and then that orange wall is difficult. Then the transition out of the strumming, not easy at all. Another one that was sort of a fillerish one. I think it's a testament to how good this montage is when this is like one of the filler ones. That strumming is super fast, that quint is really fast, and the transition into it is difficult and everything. One of the best in the compilation by far, this. I mean, that in and of itself is probably montage worthy. And then you have this trill, which may I remind you is an orange wall with a... It's basically like doing a longer and lightened solo. It's a bit slower, but... Man, yeah, that last one is hard to top. Fortune Lies full solo. I wouldn't really do it any differently than I do it on GH3. Like, this is all standard tapping stuff. That's really hard in and of itself. Yeah, I wouldn't do it any differently than I would do it on GH3 besides solo C. And even then, the only part I would do differently is double strum these screens at the beginning. See, I'm using the hammer-ons here, which is really tight, and it's so difficult to like think of it on the fly or even read it. Like, it's a mix of ones and twos. It's you need to play it on Rock Band 3 to really understand how difficult that is. Then Board to Lead from First Shift Guitar Project. This one took ages. It probably shouldn't have, but man. It's basically non-stop really fast shredding. random strums in it, which means that you have to stop tapping every now and then. I think I ended up elbow strumming some, which I rarely do. And then you have this. Like, how awkward is that? And we can skip this bit. And then the topper, which I'm glad I did add this section in, is this. Like, I'm really surprised I didn't miss that once. Then you have this really chokeable shredding bit. That's a really good one. Can't believe I didn't choke an E, yeah. I'll agree. Quantum Catastrophe Solo 1. Oh, wow. There's been few times when I've been as angry at a game as this. So much random strumming, really awkward fretting sometimes. Fast fretting, the game would just drop for no reason. Probably because all the distances from the notes are really inconsistent. Awkward patterns like that. And then you have E and F, which are just up and down the fretboard with random strumming. Yeah, I tapped that one. That's something you probably wouldn't notice. And then 1G, you have that weird strumming bit. Where it's pretty much necessary to use the hammer-ons. I had one choking edge, I think, in those chimneys there. And then the topper is that triple orange at the end. You don't know whether to strum 2 or 3. I got lucky and I did 2 and it worked. But that's more annoying than you would think. Solo 2, a lot easier than 1. But still, I mean, just look at C. Compare that to like distances from the first montage. It's scary how much I actually improved. Then the missable part, H, which luckily I never choked on. The grand finale, this is my chart of 50-50, but one at a time. Doing the full solo of this was definitely not feasible. It's amazing how much harder this chart is. Like, right from the get-go, that's super awkward. Solo A, the easiest of the 4. B, probably the hardest. Now, the transition in this sort of disguises how difficult this part is, so I'm going to pause it. This bit here is really fast. You can't one-hand that very well. So what I had to do was tap that blue there, the first blue, and then do a triplet up, and then do a double strum. A couple of double strums. There's a lot of stuff going on there that you don't see. Really fast double strum there, and then this next bit is just a mess of strumming. I missed that double blue at the end once as well. Solo C is worse than it is in the other chart. I mean, it's just really fast, and then solo D is just non-stop. That little strumming bit there is probably the hardest part, if I remember correctly. Yep. Going at that really fast double yellow, and then at this part, which is in 5. After that, it's not terrible. Yeah. Definitely my best compilation, and one of the best there's ever been, really. And we'll skip all this stuff. And the final one, Imagine Ghost No No. This was a step down from the last one because it was sort of impossible to top. It started off as me wanting to do like a sort of casual, more casual compilation. It ended up having some stupid sections in though. This first one, Pink and Blows Over. A standard tapping exercise for the majority of it, up until the only reason this is in is because of this part here. I basically just wanted to see if my method from CH would work, and it does. Yeah, these 3 Vi clips are all just standard tapping exercises, pretty much. This one I actually did in a run, and I was like, damn, that was really good. And it took me a while to do it again in practice. Of course, it's quite a long section because I did 2 solos in it. Both similar styles. Originally, I had the end of what's it called, Building the Church as well, but it was just because that's what I hit in the run. But I was like, nah, man, I can't be bothered. But when you put so much effort into something, I think you're allowed to skimp out on a few things. And this is the equivalent of the one in whatever the first one was called, Firewall. So yeah, quite a long section there. It's decent. This one, more of the same, probably the hardest standard tapping bit though. A lot of stuff that's difficult to do without ghosting. A couple of random ones. These were sort of like mediocre sections, which is what I wanted really. I didn't want to push myself too hard. This one more looks cool than it is hard. It is pretty hard though actually. This part here, not this part, the part after. Hard to do without anchoring lower notes. You wouldn't think that, but that's what's hard about that. And then basically G whiz without the ending. It's too dissimilar from things that have been in past montages really. Just a bunch of fast fretting and standard tapping exercise. Of course it lasts quite a while. And the reason it doesn't have the ending is because that trill is basically a no-go. It's definitely possible to hit, I'm not saying that, it's just you would have to hit this bit quite a few times before you hit that trill in a run, so it wasn't worth it. Some tapping sections, man. This is probably the highlight of this montage. Really fast MPS. Really fast MPS. I can't understand how accurate you have to be for this part, because it comes in really quick. Especially since you can't anchor red from the beginning of those reverse chimneys. So what you have to do, you have to tap the blue, yellow, and then anchor red, and then keep it going. And then not missing the ladders, which I don't think I did. Some Devil Solo stuff. This is just patterns 2. Not overly hard, just fast NPS really. This one's cool. Because you can't anchor green for this part. Well, not for the chord, but anyway. And then it's fast NPS. Followed by an O-gap start trill. And this is the last one, isn't it? I have a few things to say about this one. First of all, this section here, chord solo from DNA 3, it's virtually unmissably easy. The reason this is in first of all, I knew that one would look cool. That's all it is. It's there because it looks cool. The transition into this trill is really hard. You probably can't tell that easily, but I do a triple tap. And then there's an elbow strum there, which is always nice. So, just put this out. You've got a 4-note chord followed by a green orange, followed by an elbow strum blue into a really fast trill, and you know how bad trills are. This is like entropy, entropy, speed trill. Maybe faster. And my red button was dying at this point. And man, that took a long time to do. But yeah, the reason that one's hard isn't because of this first part, which I think most people looked at it and were like, wow, I have no idea how to hit that, but it's not hard. What is hard is the transition, followed by the trill itself. And I didn't just want to do the trill, because it's like, people would look at it and be like, oh, it's just a trill. But man. I would guess I hit the first section upwards of like 100 times, maybe. But yeah, that's all of them actually. I'm going for 2 hours. Hopefully the video quality isn't bad. I noticed it was skipping a bit. But I don't know, I'll see. Thanks for watching, hopefully it was somewhat interesting. But yeah, see you later.